Hi, first graders. I was joining some read alouds today and Mrs. Novak's art class, and I saw some of you guys were in there, so it was really cool to see you. Now it's time for my story. I'm going to read some Magic Treehouse. So when we last left Jack and Annie, their treehouse had just landed here. Let's see what happens. It says, "Jump, beasts, jump." Bright light flooded the treehouse again. A rustling sound came from the window. Annie peeked out and laughed. "Hey there," she said. Jack looked out too. A giraffe was eating leaves off the tree. He's eating them. It had a sweet, goofy face. Jack peered at the world beyond the giraffe. He couldn't believe his eyes. He saw a huge grassy plain, a wide river, and tons of birds and animals. More than he had ever imagined in one place. Giraffes and zebras were on the side of the river where Jack and Annie were. Thompson's gazelles were the big horned animal, and the big horned animals were on the other side. "Where are the lions?" said Jack. "I don't know," said Annie. "Do you think it's always this crowded?" "Let's find out." Jack picked up the book on Africa and looked at the picture of the animals. He read aloud. "Every year in late spring, thousands of zebras and gazelles and millions of wildebeests migrate from the dry plains of Tanzania to Kenya." Whew, good thing I know all my letter sounds. I was able to sound that out. "From Tanzania to Kenya." "What's migrate mean?" said Annie. Jack pushed his glasses into place. "It means they go somewhere else for part of the year, like birds going south for the winter." "Oh, right," said Annie. Jack turned the page to read more. "Before they are safe in Kenya, the animals must first cross the Mara River. Zebras go first, then wildebeests. The tiny gazelles swim last." "Oh," said Annie in a sad voice. "What's wrong?" "Poor beasts." She looked out the window. "They seem afraid." On the far side of the river, the horned animals were standing at the edge of the steep bank of the river. They stared down nervously at the rushing water. "Jump, beasts, jump!" Annie shouted. "Don't be silly, they can't hear you," said Jack. He looked at the broad plain. "I wonder where the lions are." "I don't know, but I have to go," said Annie. "Go where?" said Jack. "To help them." "Help who?" "Those wild beasts on the other side. I have to help them migrate." "Are you nuts?" said Jack. Annie handed Jack the scroll and started out of the treehouse. "Wait a second! We haven't even read Morgan's riddle yet." Annie stopped on the ladder. "Okay, read it now." Jack unrolled the ancient scroll and read out loud. "I'm the color of gold and as sweet as can be, but beware of the danger that's all around me. What am I?" Annie started to climb down the ladder. "Annie!" "We'll look for the answer in a minute," said Annie. "What are you doing?" Jack called. But there was no stopping her. Jack watched as she hopped off the ladder and started to walk through the tall grass. Between the zebras and giraffes. "I don't believe her," he said to himself. He quickly put the Africa book into his backpack. He started down the ladder. When he stepped onto the ground, he looked around carefully. The giraffes were eating the tree leaves. The zebras were grazing in the grass. Tons of birds flapped overhead. This is okay, he thought. He just had one little question. Where are the lions? Chapter 3 is called Disaster. A disaster is like a really big, huge, ginormous problem. Like this is a disaster. What do you think Jack and Annie's disaster is going to be? We will have to find out next time. Thanks so much for reading with me, first grade. Tomorrow, I'm going to do a Magic Tree House video, and then we're also going to have a Google Meets at 2 o'clock, and I'm going to read another story then for you, okay? So I hope I'll see you then. Goodbye, first grade.